from Charlotte, North Carolina, at a combined weight of over 660 pounds, Rody Rob, Adam Baum, Bionic Brian, the Marked Out Wrestling Podcast.
And welcome to a special edition of the Marked Out Wrestling Podcast as we react and review, if you will, not much review actually, just more react, to the Money in the Bank match 2020, coming to you from the corporate headquarters. Climb the corporate ladder is what they did, and a fun segment involving the women and the men. So we're going to talk about that tonight during this show, live on YouTube Live and a whole bunch of other platforms, Facebook and Twitch and Mixer, and I think who knows, right? And after the fact on all our podcast providers. So I am not going to be your lead head master of ceremonies tonight. I'm going to pass the baton to the man that has a dinosaur in his office for this show, Mr. Adam to the Bomb. Hello, Adam, and Brian is here as well.
Hello.
Hey, what's going on, Marked Out Universe? Hey, Brian.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Not much. I'm really excited to react to this show. But before we get anywhere, I just want to let everyone know there's an all-point bulletin out for Baron Corbin for double homicide. If anyone sees him or has their whereabouts on him, please call 911 immediately. Basically, guys, if you're new to the show or old, normally, I meant to say if you're old to the show, we normally react to the pay-per-view in order. But I just got to be honest with you tonight, regardless of the matches, no title changes, nothing of real consequence. We may circle back at the end of our show, but ultimately we want to talk about the Money in the Bank. So we're just going to get right to it. Before we do, though, let's introduce the board. We got Hardly Boys, Soji, DP, Anaconda Vice was here earlier. I know others will chime in.
Dyke Brothers there, sure, yeah.
Yeah, Dyke just got there. So, because this, I mean, let's be honest, Rob, fucking 9:25 when they went off air.
Very, very early cut. I mean, it cut Brian's nap completely in half, I'm sure.
It really did.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining.
No, not at all. Look, our friend of the show and enemy to the board, Bob from Memphis, summed it up very well in his text to us after the fact. He said, that is the stupidest shit I have ever seen, and I loved every single minute of it. And go ahead.
And obviously we're going to break it down, but that's the exact thing I wrote in my notes even before the win. Say what you will, Otis, this is sports entertainment. Otis is fucking entertaining, Rob.
Oh, God.
Everything that he did tonight entertained me.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Was there any Tucker appearances?
No, Tucker. And I heard beforehand, by the way, that me and Rob were talking about this off air in the thing that Brian slept through. But we were talking about Otis. There's a lot of press out there that he was officially singles. Heavy Machinery's done. Don't know if they'll future endeavor Tucker, repackage. Don't know.
Yeah, probably repackage, let him run out his contract, then future endeavor him. Look, back to your point there, Adam, about this being entertainment. So we get Otis on the winning side, which none of us, I mean, we actually told people they were stupid for even entertaining the idea of Otis winning. But Otis wins. Right. And I've said at the reaction show that Asuka was the absolutely deserving character in this mix for the women. So I think they got both winners perfectly. And I know I just said that we said nobody, Otis is not going to win this. And I think that's number one, why I like it so much. Number two, I think I'm gonna really enjoy his run as Money in the Bank, the Money in the Bank holder. But number three, I don't think he's going to successfully cash in. But hey, I was wrong about this one. I've been wrong before. This is fun from floor to floor.
Do you guys though think that it's kind of like do you think it's like a waste though for someone to like him to have it? I'm not saying that it is because I like this, but
no, because I like it when somebody that's never won the title has it, so that it's a true elevation, like it was for Edge, like it was for Punk. It's you're getting called up from the mid card, if you will, to a main event status by having it. They may be testing the waters and haven't determined if he's going to cash in. But Otis is the big Vince is high on the big man.
Yeah.
Now, when Asuka, my whole thing, Rob, about Asuka was she's on Raw, and I thought AJ was going to win, and I didn't think both briefcases were going to go to the same show.
Sure.
As soon as Asuka won, I looked next to you and said, AJ's not winning now.
Yeah, and I think the if AJ wasn't winning, it was Corbin to be, the double homicide was going to win the Money in the Bank.
It almost was.
Look, outcomes are going to be a greater conversation. I get that. But I want to go into the kind of fun details of this match that we had been, I don't want to say salivating, but after the really good video packages or video matches they had at WrestleMania, we were like, this could be a home run. It did not.
Boneyard and Funhouse.
Right. It did not have the same editorial or directorial feel that those two had, so it was different in that aspect. But it had a campy feel to it at times, which was fine. It had some really good hits and a couple little misses. But all in all, that was fine.
Lots of cameos.
So we start out, Brian, and I'm going to help Brian out here because Brian did not see the match yet. So we're gonna hold his hand through this process. So Brian,
fill me in.
This starts out. Well, we thought everything was going to start out in the lobby. What happened was we get the women introduced in the lobby, and then we get the men introduced in the gym. All right, which fantastic gym. So as they're in the lobby, Asuka is perched up on the kind of the mezzanine of the second floor to do an opening splash, and then takes.
It's like a 2-floor lobby.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
right.
She splashes on all the girls. They're all on the ground. Asuka, in very campy fashion, hightails it for the fucking elevator. And that's the women opening segment, right? So right off the bat, Asuka throwing some fun in there. And I'm never big on the spots where they do the splash and everybody goes down. I'm never big about those. But for this concept, I think it was fine, Adam.
I agree. And Brian, on the men's side, they start in the weight room. You get, your normal exchanges. There are a couple cool spots with Ray and Alistair. But in the end, Otis, Mr. Entertainment, Mr. Money in the Bank now, is walking around. Instead of stakes and weights, he was saying sets and reps, and he traps AJ under some dumbbells. And I can't remember. It felt very much like a movie here when AJ's trapped and calling out for help, and Ray looks back but doesn't help him. I'm trying to think of what that movie is, but there's several movies where somebody like that doesn't help them.
Yeah, and Brian, there was a good point in this opening segment with the men in the gym that I think sets up a lot of the scenes, kind of the feel overall of the match, where Corbin goes to throw a 45-pound weight right at Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan moves. It goes through the glass on the wall and then through the drywall. And
oh, no shit.
Yeah, so at that moment, you're thinking, whatever, they did it at NXT and they kept fighting. But at this moment, you have background music the whole time. There's background music the entire time that sets.
No commentary.
Right, no commentary. And the music,
that's weird.
The music is setting the mood, right? So Corbin throws it through the wall. He immediately has this look on his face like, oh, fuck, I'm in trouble. And he's just standing there, and the music's like, dun, 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 And everybody else, too, is kind of like, oh, shit, what's happening? And then they're like, fuck it, and they start fighting again, and then, they all exit and start, running their way. That was your opening 2 segments for this match. That was your introduction and your tier 1, floor level 1, whatever you want to do. I thought it set the tone, especially for the men. It gave you what you thought you knew you were going to get, and then it switched it up when they went to the next level. Now, I'm not going to go detail here on every little thing,
right?
But we're gonna at least discuss level by level.
So
because I don't give a fuck about the rest of the card.
Right. So the next level, Adam, Brian, we get our first cameo. We had several cameos through this match. We get our first cameo as Ray is running by the bathroom. Out of the stall comes Brother Love. And he affectionately says to Ray,
his pants are not up yet.
Not up yet. He's zipping his shit up, and he's like, I love you. And Ray responds, oh my God. I love you too, but I got to go, man. And he rolls out.
And by the way, where Ray was trying to catch up is the other 4 competitors, not AJ, who's trapped under the weights, are in the elevator. So we cut to the girls for their phase 2. They're running up the staircase, all but Nia and Dana. The other 3 are trying to catch up to Asuka. They get to the elevators on the next floor, and you think that the doors are going to open and maybe they'll catch Asuka. But when they open, the 4 men come out, and we have our first kind of everybody together in this second floor atrium kind of lobby area, which, by the way, had ropes, had a cage on the wall. So it wasn't just your normal lobby, if you will. And a lot of exchanges here, we wondered if the men and women were going to get involved. They didn't quite yet. We're going to get there then. But this was our first take, Rob, of having them all together.
Right. So you go ahead, Brian.
I was just gonna say one question though. One thing that I've been seeing so far that people have been saying about the whole match is the music. What did you guys think about the music though?
Well, that's what I'm saying as far as Corbin goes. I mean, for every different situation that we got kind of a change in the soundtrack. And look, I mean, I understand the argument that even you've had before, Brian, about this. This is not wrestling. But as far as the entertainment value for this, without having commentators say, "Oh my God, they threw him off the roof," shit like that. Just the feel of, when something funny happens, you get some campy music. When something dramatic happens, you get some kind of corny dramatic music. When there's action going on, you get some action music. It helps you, the blood flow, helps the heartbeat. So yes, it was soundtrack the whole time, and it was. I thought it was done to perfection. Even the points where Brian talking just sound, and we've talked before off the camera about in radio, dead air is a bad thing. But sometimes dead air can be a great thing if it captures the moment. And there were moments in this where the soundtrack cuts and then they do some little campy scene and it captured the moment. So, and we'll get to one of those in just a moment. As we're doing this brawl in front of the elevators, Brian, which has, like Adam said, a really unique kind of waiting area behind it with, ropes and shit like that. We get our first, I think, didn't we get an interaction here? Didn't some of the women and men, didn't Shayna put somebody in a headlock?
Not yet.
Not yet? Not here?
While they're like a little, like the women are just standing back shocked because the elevator opened with all the men. The other elevator opens, Asuka slinks out, Shayna sees her, and they start chasing down the hallway to the stairwell. On the men's side, we see that Aleister Black ran off first when he saw in the melee an opening. Baron got tied up in the ropes by Daniel Bryan and left behind both Otis and them. Daniel Bryan gives chase. AJ shows back up. He is trying to open doors and look for people.
Can I stop you there and then I'll let you reset and keep going?
Yeah.
Because I know you're about to do the AJ segment. We did forget, Brian, that there was another cameo that we missed by the elevator doors. As everyone runs out, a person that was not a person in a doink face and wig popped up from behind one of the chairs with kind of campy clown music, and then went back down laughing. Clearly was not
not wearing the outfit, just the makeup,
and clearly not Doink, right? Clearly it's just some guy they said, guy in AR that they're like, hey, why don't you fucking put some paint on, put it on TV. So that was our second appearance. So when I say cameos to those on the board saying, Rob, that's not a cameo, get off your fucking high horse. I'm just saying they cameoed the character in that situation. But back to the fun, Adam. AJ Styles looking for doors, seeing pictures on walls.
Yeah, he's looking for Ray. He turns and sees a giant Ray poster. He walks by a Roman Reigns poster. And then he sees a Taker poster and has a stare down. And again, like Rob was saying, the tone of each is happening with the music. Then he's trying to open doors after he recovers from the poster. And the only door that's unlocked is one that's totally set up like Undertaker's, I don't know, bedroom with a coffin to sleep in and all this.
Yeah, like if it was if it was Fright Night, the movie, this would be where the vampire sleeps.
Right, like his break room.
Yeah.
Right, and Aleister Black, of course, kicks him into the room by catching up to him, and he's trapped in there. And that's kind of the end of the segue for the men. I thought it was good. I asked Rob this question, not to get off topic, but I want to ask it to you, Brian. I feel like they're not letting AJ and Taker die. I feel like there's going to be another round. Why would they keep doing this?
No, that's true. I mean, why would they do that if there isn't still meat on the bones? So wait, was Taker there?
Meat on the bones? No. Taker wasn't there.
Okay.
I think we'll get a surprise appearance later, but it's not by Taker.
I think it could be part one because they're trying to promote the Taker Last Ride series on the network. There could be one, and two. It could be a long game for AJ, not necessarily to lead a Taker, but the show that he was so confused and disoriented by this that it leads him down a downward spiral that he has to pull himself back up out of. Now, that's just
mentally he gets checked out here is what Rob's trying to say.
Yeah, that's it. So we go to the women now, and this is the conference room, right?
Yes. This is the conference room. Well, it's the Money in the Bank conference room.
Well, we don't know that yet, and we don't want to. It was a conference room, obviously a smaller one, a team building conference room if you're a corporate person, and we got the women in there fighting, and I think we got Dana and Nia and
it was Shayna and Dana, it was Mela and Nia. Then once those two were down, it was Nia and Shayna.
So here's your campiness, and for me, this was one of the moments.
This is the fail.
This is one of the fails from this. So Brian, Dana they have this briefcase. A clear briefcase, Money in the Bank, filled with cash. Dana gets on top of this conference table, pulls this down, and starts doing the Shawn Michaels hug to the briefcase like, she just won the world. Then you do cutscene to Stephanie like she's walking through the hallway, which it was clearly bad editing.
She clearly was not there.
And she's like, what are you doing? This is the Money in the Bank conference room. You need to go up on the ceiling. Or up on the roof, and it's
on the roof.
Yeah, it was very forced and not very good, and I know we weren't doing the quality like we did in WrestleMania and Funhouse as far as the super directorial, editorial fucking shit they had going with that. But you could expect a little bit better than this from a $1 billion company. I'm just
also the Dana character going. She grabbed, I can't remember who it was, maybe Mela, but she's going, tell me where the briefcase is. Dumb bitch, it's on the roof.
Right.
I think everyone at this point knows that it's on the roof.
So
right?
let's
right. So it was that whole little part here was definitely Petty Town, but it was bad.
So let's pause here. And because we've gone through a lot of information now on this match so far.
Let's catch up on the board before we get everybody back united.
Thank you. Yeah, so
because they're going to reunite in a second.
Well, help me tag
both men and women.
Help me tag team this because there's a lot of comments on there, and I don't know if I can get to them all. And I suck at the board anyway. So,
yeah,
I know I see Evan Wright saw a tweet that said now both of Dominic's dads are dead. Oh wow!
Wow!
Oh my God!
Fuck. I wasn't ready for that.
No, I wasn't either. Go ahead. What you guys got on the board?
Considering what Reigns is doing right now, that was hilarious when they showed the poster. That's from Soji. Daniel Price, I think it was symbolic that Black was so eager to go into the Taker domain.
Oh, wow. I like
could have
that.
Been some foreshadowing. I good catch, DP. And yeah, talking about the other stuff's too past to catch back up. Hey, Juan.
I guess Juan wasn't a fan of the show.
WWE and Juan wants to say. So let's bring it back. Everybody reunites in catering to meet another cameo, courtesy of Paul Heyman, who's about to stuff his face with a sub.
Excuse me, sir.
The men and women stare down much like they did at level 2, Brian. Otis declares a food fight.
Oh, no.
And what results is the first exchanges we have between genders. Nia hits Otis. Let's see. What else happened?
Ray got sandwiched between Otis and Nia as well.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh, and then it kind of devolves into an Otis-Nia stare down where Otis has a sandwich in his mouth and he's just eating it right there.
So
Nia doesn't attack.
Let me paint this picture.
Crazy.
Let me paint this picture for Brian. All right, I got to paint this picture. And for anybody else out there who decided not to watch this. So, Brian, Paul Heyman is sitting at a table that is fucking end to end with platters, right? And he is
clearly catering.
Yes, and he is making himself a sandwich. He's getting ready to get down and get Grubhub, And then the wrestlers run in on either side, all of them, the men all on one side, women on one side, have a little stare down about get the fuck out of my way. And then Otis sees the catering and immediately goes, and the music changes with it, obviously, and he's just enthralled, and he's hypnotized by this food, and he starts kind of shaking and gyrating, kind of like Hulk Hogan when he's hulking up, and then he just goes, food fight, and everybody has this look on their face like, what? And Heyman's like, no, and then he just grabs this huge plate of like rice and all kinds of shit and just pies it right in fucking
Yeah,
Heyman's
what
face.
was all that?
Wow.
I don't even know. It's an Indian, dish. I don't know, but it just pies it in Heyman's face, and then that's when the chaos ensues. But the wrestling part of it was great, watching them interact. But to paint the picture, Brian, it's the setup for this again was a little campy, but very fun to watch.
That's okay. I mean, I was just talking about on Wednesday. I mean, Wednesday on Dynamite they were doing fucking campy shit. So I don't hate WWE. I know that
campy works right now in this COVID era.
It does. It definitely does. I mean, people want to be entertained, and if it's whether or not if you're fucking going through a building or driving on a golf cart, I mean, whatever. It's all gravy.
Yeah.
And Daniel Price says, I wouldn't have sat down with Heyman. If he said anything, I'd say, fuck you, go get Lesnar. I'm eating.
Right. So, okay. So that's our scene there. We have our cameo. What's next, Adam?
So next for the women, this is kind of weird because, Brian, spoiler alert, not all the women are going to make it to the roof. We have our first casualty. Before this all ends, Mela gets powerbombed by Nia through a table. And Dana, as they're chasing Asuka, who left, slips on wet floor like Titus O'Neil, and we never see her again.
I think she slapped her fucking head for real.
Yeah, it was weird, but they walked by a mopping guy with Asuka yelling at him.
And I just want to say that they had like this dude the janitor who was mopping Brian, and you at first you only saw the back of his head wearing a hat, and it was a ginger. I was praying, oh my God, I would have laughed so hard if it would have been Heath Slater. I'm just saying.
God.
They could have given him one more paycheck for his kids and let him play the part.
Rob marked out before he turned around as if it was Heath
I did.
Slater, just FYI.
I was like, fucking Heath Slater.
No. Nia catches up to Asuka briefly. Shayna catches up to her. Shayna gets thrown into a wall. We never see Shayna again. Before we go back to the men, we're going to see Asuka and Asuka, Nia. Who's it? Oh, Lacey Evans.
How did Shayna get it gone so quick?
It was weird, man.
That's what we were shocked on. She never even made it to the roof.
I really feel like that she was set up for this match, and they were going to go a direction, and everything went down with COVID, and I don't think Shayna was getting the reactions that the old man probably wanted. And I think she got downplayed from her original intent from this role in this match. And that's just my Mark brain doing fucking circles in my head. Because Shayna, like I said, this wasn't a massive blow. This wasn't, she didn't get thrown out of a fucking window. Nothing didn't get hit with anything.
She didn't get the table spot like Mela did or the concussion Dana did.
She basically got, head to turnbuckle, but do it to a wall. And then she was gone. I mean, just fucking gone from that point.
Oh, Evan, thank you for reminding me. Back in catering, I forgot Shayna did choke Ray out.
Okay, yeah,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I thought I remembered.
All right.
So now we got 3 women on the roof: Lacey, Nia, and Asuka. Let's go back to the men.
Don't forget. Don't leave out the Otis part.
Otis leaves the food fight and finds his way to some pie. And while he's getting ready to, looks like just hunker down on that pie.
Wait.
Laurinaitis come in.
Wait. Adam, you have to paint these pictures better. You have to. I'm not trying to dig you, brother, but you got to paint them better. You got to set the stage and the environment.
Most people watch this.
I know that, but it's worth it for people who might not have watched it. So what happened here was
the pen. You recap.
Otis ran into his Mecca, and the music reflected that he just walked into his Mecca, which was the cafeteria, Brian. Otis in the cafeteria. And guess what's on display on top of the buffet line? Pie. A bunch of pies. Which brings us to, as he begins to his journey into said pies, brings us to an appearance on a little go-kart by John Laurinaitis. Which
on a go-kart?
On a what do they call them?
Like,
hover around.
Like a food cart?
No, like I can't walk anymore. We the People had one. You know what I'm talking
about? Oh, okay. Like a little rascal scooter.
Yeah, for the crippled people drive. Gotcha. Whatever. So I'm sorry if I say crippled. Sorry. I'm old school. So John Laurinaitis gets a pie to the face and then falls out of his rascal. Okay. So that is a stage there, John Laurinaitis moment. Now you may continue.
Cameo.
Yes, go ahead, Adam. with your very bland.
We'll have one. It was okay. We find Daniel Bryan and Aleister Black having an exchange. AJ comes back from the Taker room, and we have a really fun spot here that I thought was a lot of fun. And I'll paint the picture as Rob says. Daniel Bryan and AJ end up fighting. You see a conference room across the hall, but they end up fighting their way into an office. And they're starting to just the way the fights have been everywhere else. But as you come around and see in the office, you see the dinosaur head, and you see that they're in Vince's office, and there's Vince sitting there. Immediately, Daniel and AJ both stop fighting, fast for a second, act like they're about to leave, then realize they need to re-straighten the chairs that got messed up while they were fighting. AJ bows Japanese person to McMahon,
Yeah.
and they both exit out. They stand in the hallway outside McMahon's door to both talk about which one of them was the bigger pussy in front of McMahon,
Right.
before resuming their fight.
So, and
Did I miss anything, Rob?
well, I mean, just setting McMahon's tone here, because like when the camera panned over and you saw McMahon's face, he was clearly not happy that they were in his office. And
Of course not.
He stands up in
And
his. He stands up in his
He
sports.
had hand sanitizer when they left.
Stands up in his sports jacket and his jeans and screams to all high heaven, "Get out!" But what struck me about it, Brian, was funny. Was after the guys were like, "Hold on, let's fix his chairs." They fix his chairs, and then they leave. And then McMahon reminded me of Gene Wilder in Willy Wonka at the end, where he turns back to his desk and bends down and leans over and starts writing on a pad of paper. Vince turns around and just resumes his work back in the back corner of his desk. It was just kind of a that was funny kind of moment. But yeah,
it makes sense for him to have a cameo.
The shit talking afterwards, Adam. The shit talking afterwards was so fucking hilarious. Like, yeah, you did this. Yeah, well, you did this. Oh shit, I did do that. And then they move on.
Yeah, Baron returns here and ends up taking him into the conference room. Daniel Bryan there. We don't see much from the men until we get to the roof. Unlike the women, all of the men are going to make it to the roof. Now, before we get to the roof spot, let's catch back up real quick with the board. Anaconda Vice, what the fuck happened to Shayna? I was like, where is she? Is she already forgotten about? You're late to the show, bud. We talked about it, but yeah, it was a weird spot that took her out. It wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
Spike is talking about Vince didn't look good. Soji says he hope it's not Corona. A lot of people like the people power spot.
Yeah.
I did too. It was fun. And not to be a downer, Evan says, but where's the receptionist to tell Vince there's people fighting in his building? I don't quite get the concept. That would be great if on the intercom, Mr. McMahon, there's two people fighting in your office came in.
Right.
Well,
security comes.
That not to be a downer on the joke you're trying to make there, but that wouldn't make sense since Vince, booked the fucking match. So
yeah, well, the Evans part, just her saying it would have been funny.
That would have been funny.
When he already knows it. So let's just knock the women out real quick, guys. For the roof. Again, Mella's gone from catering. She went through a table. Dana, the wet floor. Shayna, a weird spot by Nia. Great. Asuka wins the exchange here. They had some good sells. Lacey and Nia had a couple good exchanges. Asuka briefly is going for the Money in the Bank, but gets stopped by Brian. Guess who?
Tucker Knight.
Baron Corbin. No, Tucker's going to be future endeavored soon. Poor guy. Baron comes, briefly stops Asuka. But Asuka wins by knocking Baron off the ladder and grabbing the briefcase for herself. Ending the women, they announce the winner. Baron is the only one up there at the time. So that's kind of before we go to the men's part of the roof. Women are over, Brian. Mm-hmm. There's no more.
How long was the match?
In total, it was just under an hour, like 52 minutes or something like that.
Wow.
But the women are probably over, I would say, at like the 40-minute mark, maybe 42-minute mark. The men had about 10 more minutes. We're going to talk about in a second.
I feel like with just to circle or wrap the women up here, with Asuka winning, I don't know where I stand as far as will she cash in, right? One, and number two, when will she cash in? Will she have a long haul with this briefcase? I think possibly. I think Asuka might have a lengthy run close to the end of the term for this briefcase.
I think Asuka ends Bayley's run. We've seen Asuka and Becky so many times that I think it would be foolish unless it's a long time from now, Rob, like you said.
Yeah. I don't
but
think
maybe Becky doesn't even have the title. Maybe Bayley doesn't even have the title by Asuka cashing in.
Yeah, I argue that point because if you did that with Bayley, you would ruin anything. And I know they've already ruined several times, but you would ruin anything that they've been setting up with Sasha and Bayley, which I think has to come to a head eventually. One day, sometime here in the future, that has to come to a head. So
since we're probably not going to mention it, Sasha did help Bayley retain tonight.
Yeah, so that happened. But with Asuka, remember we've got not making any predictions here, but we have other female talents. I mean, they just debuted Bianca Belair on there. Shayna's still got her thing; she's still on there. So there are other new blood that could battle with the man for a while. Do maybe some title defenses, whatnot. Maybe a change. Asuka could be Mania. She could cash in at Mania. I think they're going to set her up to not take it from Becky, but from somebody else.
Brian, what do you think about Daniel Price's comment on the board? Because I fucking love it. He says, I bet she cashes in on Charlotte while she's still NXT champ. She owes her a receipt.
Oof. I mean, then you start the trend of sending more people down over to NXT.
It's already a thing.
No, but Asuka should be on. I mean, Asuka's been on every fucking show anyway. She could just run around and do what Charlotte's doing now. But with the NXT title.
I actually love that.
I don't hate it.
Yeah,
I don't hate it.
Yeah, get her off of WWE and put her on NXT, and then you're going to put it. Then I might watch NXT more intently. Although, honestly, I don't think so because Asuka has been gold on Raw. I don't know why the old man would be like, let's do something to get her off the show. I mean,
No. I think it's more about getting Charlotte back off NXT.
Right.
Yeah,
Rob, I don't think she would stay there full time. I think also when Asuka lost the title, she'd move back up and she could pull double duty, similar to the way KO did, not similar to the way Charlotte's doing.
But you just reintroduced Rhea back to the show, right? Rhea just got back, so I don't think it makes sense to have Asuka cash in on Charlotte. I think it's going to be a Raw cash in.
Rhea's about to take the title from Charlotte, and here comes Asuka with the briefcase.
I don't think it makes sense. It doesn't make sense to me. Really doesn't.
It'd be a little weird.
I don't know. I just hate Charlotte as a champion of any kind.
Yeah.
You just hate Charlotte.
Yep, that too. Let's go on to the men. So after Asuka has taken out Corbin, we see that Otis arrives. And Rob, I can quote here, by the way, I'm going to set the scene for you. Rob cackled out loud on this one, Brian. But Otis arrives. He looks around. He grabs a ladder. He, of course, is going to climb. The only person who's on the roof again is Baron, who got knocked down. So here comes Otis. We figure he's going to do this slow climb, right, Brian? Gets the ladder set up. He takes his first step, and the bottom step breaks on the ladder. So he can't even go anywhere.
And he looked like a trapped mouse to begin with at the bottom. Before he stepped on it, he was looking at the stairs like, there's no fucking way I'm going to get up this fucking ladder. And then he took that step and it just broke. And it was just, it floored me. I laughed.
That's funny.
I broke with the ladder. So,
yeah. And Baron gets back up to have a little exchange after that spot. Ray and Alistair arrive to knock them both out of the ring and race up the ladder.
Wait. Don't miss the fucking Otis did the worm. And what was and here's the thing, Brian, is beyond the background music, you can hear everything. Like when the ladder was bouncing on the ropes, you could hear the clack 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 clack. So when Otis is doing the worm, you can hear the 2x4s in the ring just
right.
As you hear them in pain.
As they've changed the background music to like some kind of cheesy kind of pop music as he's doing it. I mean, it was fucking great. I loved it. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Adam.
So then we see, and I wonder here, we only have 4 men so far. I wondered with Rob, are we going to do again? But AJ comes out while Ray and Alistair are on top of the ladder. He knocks them both down. And after he knocks them both down, they both kind of fall out of the ring, Alistair and Ray, which is where Corbin is to commit a double homicide here, because he takes Ray and Alistair one at a time and flings them off the roof. Now, it looked like it was on the side where there's a secondary roof, but we just never see them again.
Yeah.
And having no announcers, it's just like, wait, are they dead?
So, Brian,
what just happened? Like, we don't even know.
You ever watch a movie with like gangsters or mobsters, drug dealers, whatever, and you've got that one guy who kills with impunity. He doesn't care. He just walks up to somebody as he's talking and shoots them in the fucking head. Right? It's kind of as if this is what I do every day, not a big deal. When he threw him off the roof, it was so subtle and as if that me and Adam collectively stopped breathing, looked at each other like, did he just kill him? Did that fucking just happen?
It was the equivalent of like two people running at him and him throwing them out of the ring. But he threw them off the rope or off the roof.
Off the roof. So wait.
I love what Evan said here on the board. He says, we got a double murder on Money in the Bank and a hit and run on Dynamite. What a win.
Yeah. Well, how are they going to fucking like explain that? Like in story?
Well, okay. So here's the thing. Is you could see from the overview of the roof that this was the second tier of the roof. So they probably had a 20-foot fall to the bottom level of the roof.
It was about 20 feet.
So knowing that, but the optics of how they showed it, you don't see that other level. So the optics are, I just threw you off the fucking roof. I just threw you off the roof.
Right.
Yeah. You're just fucking gone. You're dead.
Brian, everything on the roof is spotlit. So as soon as you get out of the spotlights, it's black.
That's what I'm saying.
They didn't want you to see what Rob was talking about, that there's neighborhoods all around there. So that's why they shot this at night. But so literally when these guys go all outside of the light, it looks like they're not only just going off the roof, they're going into a black hole of darkness. We'll never see them again.
I just want to see how they book themselves out of this. Like, how are you going to fucking explain that?
Well,
so that's exciting to me.
Well, I mean, again, everybody saw the second tier. It's only 20 foot down. So
I know, but they're playing it off like it wasn't there, and they haven't said
you out
anything.
On the board, Brian.
I think
we'll be back in 2 weeks. They're not selling anything.
Yeah. Look, I think the only people who are perceiving this as homicide are us fans, honestly.
Right.
I mean, and that's fun. I'm enjoying that
and the
fucking
police.
Yeah, and the police. I'm enjoying the moment of doing that, but I think the argument will be made on TV that, hey, I fell 20 feet, it fucking hurt, but here I am. You know, maybe I broke my leg and I broke my collarbone. You know, something like that. But
right.
I was shocked that Ray was not surprising in itself. I mean, the moment was surprising. Right. Black, though, I thought would have been more of a contender for the briefcase at the bitter end. I thought he would be in contention for it. Him getting thrown off threw me. All pun intended.
Okay, I mean, it did. And you didn't even have time to, by the way, Brian, react to the shock and horror of Ray being thrown off the roof. It's literally like less than 5 seconds later, there goes Alistair.
Yeah, you know,
that's why I said it was like a ring clearing spot. It wasn't like a roof clearing spot.
It wasn't like in the Royal Rumble where, you know, you got somebody who's been wrestling with somebody on the ropes and they've been there for a while and you're kind of you're gearing up because you're thinking he's about to get thrown out, he's about to get thrown out, he's about to get thrown out. It wasn't like that. It was like if Ultimate Warrior grabbed Hulk Hogan's head out of nowhere and went whoop out of the ring, I win. It was just so as if, you know.
Yeah, you didn't even have time to react to Ray by himself.
No,
you had to react to both.
Yeah,
that's
AJ's
crazy.
Still in the ring though, climbing the ladder. Daniel Bryan, Corbin, and Otis all come back, so all four have an exchange in there. It basically Daniel Bryan gets knocked out. And then you have AJ and Otis got knocked down too, but Otis stayed in the ring. AJ and Corbin are fighting at the top. They both unclip the briefcase. They both have it in hands. It is no longer hanging, Brian. And out of nowhere comes Elias with the guitar. He smashes it across the back of Baron Corbin. And as Baron is falling off the ladder, Jay fumbles the briefcase, which lands in the hands of the waiting Otis on the ground.
Who then goes in.
The announcer confirms.
Yes.
is your new champion.
And then he goes
Or
into
new
a
Money in the Bank. Sorry.
Then he goes into a Rocky situation where he's raising the briefcase and talking Mandy instead. Mandy, I did it. I did it. Money in the Bank, Mandy.
Yeah. Replace Adrian with Mandy, and he quoted the Rocky part there.
I'm just counting down the minutes until we see like steaks inside and fucking just like pie and food inside the briefcase. He's just gonna carry it around like it's like a goddamn lunch.
I love it.
See, now Rob said a long run with this. I think Otis has that long run because I think it favors him to have the long run because we are more likely to over time believe him as a legitimate contender to not, now that he's won it, not just cash in, but actually win and become the champ. Asuka doesn't need that as long a run. I'm not saying cashing it in tomorrow night. She may cash in within 6 months, but I can see Otis playing out all the way to something like Royal Rumble or at least the fall where you have those lesser pay-per-views between Survivor Series and Rumble.
So let's have a thought experiment here, right? This is just a thought experiment. I'm kind of hoping this is not true, but here's a scenario that popped into my head. So Heavy Machinery, either you're going to just act like they never happened, like a girlfriend that you just never called back and you broke up because of as if, either they're going to do it like that, or Otis has this briefcase, gets a big head, he goes to cash in the Money in the Bank, Tucker screws him over, and then they have a brief feud to kill Tucker.
No.
I think that's horrible in the aspect of the credibility of the briefcase. I know they're pushing Otis. I just don't see them pushing him that hard yet.
Right.
Well,
no.
Brian, were you watching when Damian Sandow won Money in the Bank?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I think what's going to happen if WWE is smart, just briefly here, and maybe Tucker gets it to Extreme Rules and they have a blow-off there, but I think that Tucker could be jealous and they could have a breakup the way Sandow and Cody did with the Rhodes Scholars after Sandow won the briefcase.
I just want to see them have some sort of I want to see Tucker. I want to see them explain like the breakup or see some sort of ending to their relationship. No, I don't want to see them just sweep it under the rug like Rob said like Tucker never existed. If they should do something with it.
Rob's point though, Tucker last time he was seen, he came out to defend Otis against Ziggler and they had a one-on-one match and Otis wasn't there that night. He hasn't been seen now in 3 weeks since. And here his partner just won Money in the Bank. We have rumors everywhere already that Otis was going to be a singles competitor. Now, for fuck's sake, he sure is. There's no way. And it's not like a Frankenstein situation where you had AJ and Ziggler as a team and one of them won Money in the Bank. These two are doomed.
Yeah. Let me throw an opinion out here real quick. And as far as the match itself and the quality and the entertainment value, I will argue you fight me on that. I loved it, every minute of it. I thought it was great, even the little fails.
Even the dumb spots.
Right. As far as the consequence here, we complain year after year, honestly, about the Money in the Bank match, about who they give it to and how it's done. Giving it to Brock, why? You give it to Baron Corbin that nobody likes. The argument that we always make is a couple factors should determine the winner. Number one, are you over? If you're over, you should be in that conversation. Number two, have you been on top of your game lately? That's number two. And number three is maybe some new blood, some fresh blood that we haven't seen in this position before to give it a little diversity. I think the winners for women and the men match that criteria. Maybe not all together, but Asuka has been on top of her game as far as the TV program, and she has been getting pushed.
She's been on all of them.
All of them.
All the TV.
Yeah, she's been pushed hard, and she's been performing. And I think that she's a deserving, realistic Money in the Bank winner that could have a good moment with it, right? So I like the Asuka pick. I really, really do. Otis fits into that. Let's get some new blood, somebody we never expected to see there, that can also change up the storyline of the Money in the Bank of just from, I'm deserving, I'm going to win this, to I'm just glad for the opportunity. Let's see if I can take advantage of it and have some fun along the way.
And to Rob's point, I gripe all the time, check the tape, about how when it comes to the Rumble and the Money in the Bank, since they're both guaranteed title opportunities, we don't have King in the Ring like we used to. Since they're both guaranteed, I always want that new guy that's going to go up to maybe main event status. Not every year. I always salivate for that new one. Somebody who's never held the belt that gets the briefcase, or somebody that's never held the belt that wins the Rumble. We got Drew and we got Otis. So they delivered on those counts this year. They did really for the men. The women, we got Charlotte and Asuka. But they definitely did for the men. Maybe next year it'll be the women. Maybe they'll rotate it like that, because you don't want to push somebody new every year. You'll have too many at the top.
Yeah. Well, I know you guys have been like saying that this match has been awesome, but what about the rest of the card? Like, was it like as far as like surprise winners?
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
let me.
There was no title changes.
I'll run through
nothing surprising.
I'll run through this bullet
except for Rob screwing me.
Oh yeah. So
okay. Tell the story,
yeah,
Rob?
I'll tell the story. I'll tell the story, then I'll do the bullet points. So Adam was running a little bit late, for his own reasons, which were acceptable. And he missed the opening match, which was the SmackDown Tag Team Championship, which featured New Day, Forgotten Sons, Lucha House Party, and Miz and Morrison. And I texted him, I was like, dude, Street Profits fucking took out Lucha, did a major heel turn, and are in the SmackDown Championship match. And had him going, and I really debated on carrying that all the way through to this show. And now that I know you didn't see it either, I could have had you guys both fucking for the ride. And I regret that I fucking...
I was texting Rob going, so the married rule, does that mean Bianca switches? Maybe she'll take somebody out and get in the Money in the Bank match.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that's what's going to happen here. And he's like, yeah, that would be cool. Like, selling it a little bit. And I show up right as New Day's holding the titles there. And I go, why would they make the Profits debut if they're going to lose? And that's when Rob led me, and it was a work.
Yeah, so I in hindsight's 2021, I would have held that nugget all the way to now, but I didn't. So here's the bullet points, Brian. SmackDown Tag Team Championship match. New Day retains against Forgotten Sons, Lucha House Party, Miz and Morrison. I don't know why this match was on this pay-per-view. It could have easily been a SmackDown match. And a little disappointing that Jackson Riker did not get more involved in what is a no disqualification match than he did. I don't understand this match. I don't think it benefits anyone that was involved with it in any kind of way.
Yeah, and Rob, we talked at length about this on this show this week. Forgotten Sons, why put them up here if you're not going to give them the titles? Because then they got nowhere to go but down. You also forgot Jeff Hardy beat Cesaro on the pre-show.
Jeff Hardy beat Cesaro. Okay, yeah. And then, Brian, we got MVP and R-Truth. We're about to have a match. They're talking shit to each other in the ring. Bobby Lashley decides he wants to come out. And MVP's like, yeah, cool, I'll take the night off, and kind of goes away. And then you have a little comedy bits between Bobby and R-Truth. And I thought Bobby Lashley won this, but later on R-Truth was saying that he won it in the interview. So if somebody on the board can help me there, I kind of phased out towards the end of that match or through that match. So if you want to,
also he said he challenged later on in the night. Challenging Tom Brady. He says he wants his baby back.
His 24/7, 48/7, 95/11. All right, so you had that. Then you had the SmackDown Women's Title, Tamina versus Bayley with Sasha. Again, another match that could very easily have been a TV match for the Fox crowd. Sasha gets in, distracts Tamina. Tamina gets rolled up. 1, 2, 3 count. Sasha with the distraction for the win. Bayley retains. No drama ensues after the fact.
Even actually drama, you thought maybe because Tamina attacks Bayley afterwards, but Sasha just took out Tamina further, and they both stood tall while Tamina was down. So it was weird.
So then we get the Universal Championship match between Bray Wyatt, the cartoon version, and Braun Strowman. A lot of innuendo in this match pertaining to the black sheep mask that Braun used to wear. And Bray's never-ending quest to get him to reunite with him and wear that mask. We had.
And don't forget the puppets ringside.
Yes, you had the
Huskus, Mercy, Abby, Ramblin' Rabbit. We're all there.
So they're all there. Braun comes out of nowhere wearing the mask, convincing Bray that he's going to that side. Bray saying, "I told him you would change. I told him I could get you to change." And Braun takes the mask off, then beats him with a single power.
Presumably that him is Fiend he's talking about.
Right. And then he beats Bray with a single power bomb. 1, 2, 3, and then as Braun is leaving, you see the subtle flashes of the Fiend as Bray is looking on from the turnbuckle. So they have that match. That's it. That's over. And then the
only quality match of the night is next.
So you had a WWE Championship match between Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins. And, I mean, the best way to describe this, Brian, was the most normal match of the entire pay-per-view as far as wrestling goes. A one-on-one match for a title. It was wrestling. You had some stuff on the outside. You had some stuff in the ring. You ended it with Drew McIntyre getting the pin on Seth Rollins. And then as Seth stands up, Drew demands or throws his hand out in a sign of respect. Seth Rollins, without any fuckery, shakes the hand. And then what was weird was you could have left it like that, but then you show Drew on the top of the ramp talking smack with the belt, and Seth kind of looking on in dismay, which doesn't end it like I think maybe it should have been ended.
It's confusing.
Yeah, I wondered about that. I keep thinking that KO might be somewhere in the mix with Lashley and some of the things that they're having to rewrite with people that are off TV and whatever. But, I didn't think he was going to lose. I didn't think Braun was going to lose. Neither one did. We do have R-Truth that thinks he beat MVP. I forgot that part. And Rob, I don't know if he recovered from his boneyard match or whatever, but Perfect 11 is on our board. I haven't seen him in a minute.
Holy smackdown. Jesus.
Wow.
Welcome. Good to see you, Perfect 11. Hey, so here's the thing, Brian. These undercard matches below the Money in the Bank match, which obviously was the highlight that all we're looking for, not only were there no title changes, but there was no consequence really beyond Bray and Braun, which will lead to Fiend. Obviously, the Sasha Bailey thing, nothing heated up there. The tag team match for SmackDown title, nothing was
didn't even hint anything in the Sasha Bailey stuff.
It was same thing with the tag team match. There was no continuance. I mean, it was New Day winning, and that was it.
Yeah,
and
I heard Sasha looked pretty okay though.
I said to Adam that she was extremely attractive tonight. Yes, that's what I said.
Yeah, they were talking about it earlier. XL10 and Anaconda Vice. Soji says, I don't get it. How is Seth still a heel if he shakes the hand and nothing happens after that? I know I shouldn't ask Brian this when we're talking about heels and faces, but Brian, Can you explain how Seth? Because that is a good question by Soji.
I don't know. Maybe because he's supposed to be the Messiah, so maybe he's just trying to do this whole like holier than thou thing, and meanwhile he's just like a snake, and he's probably going to do something tomorrow on Raw and get Drew back or something.
Yeah.
And also my bigger thing though is why are they shaking hands in this fucking climate? All right, we can't shake hands. That's old. You got to bow or nod or.
I think after a couple hard bumps with each other in the ring, I think it's okay to shake a hand.
That's true.
That's true. But I hear your joke, and I appreciate it. Look, that's exactly my thought was it the Messiah thing. Maybe there's some kind of connection where he's all forgiving as well as the ultimate. He's Old Testament God and the New Testament God, basically, in the situation. So I that's my best explanation for it.
I like what Perfect 11 says. He says, remember, though, Seth isn't a heel in his own mind.
Sure.
Well,
I don't think any heels are, really, right?
Yeah, just like
the whole thing that they believe that what they're doing is right and justified.
It's just like the Dragon.
No, they know they're assholes.
It's just like the Dragon Queen.
People like them.
The Dragon Queen in Game of Thrones, Adam. It's, Khaleesi, she believed that she was righteous and that in all that she did was for for good, and because no one ever told her that, otherwise. Right. So when she's killing motherfuckers, she thinks she's, justified in doing so. And so that's kind of the same situation here, Or like Star Wars, Rise of the Clones, chapter 4. That's right.
Tell us about it, Brian.
Yeah,
that's when Yoda.
Your analogy, because I like this metaphor where you're going with it.
It was just what Rob was saying, where Khaleesi and Yoda.
No, the Star Wars metaphor. Finish that.
No, I know. Khaleesi was in this chapter. You probably didn't see it, but her and Yoda, they went to the store and it was closed because of the whole COVID thing, so they couldn't get any bread and they had to go to a different.
Is that the one where Jar Jar Binks took down Palpatine?
Jar Jar Binks took down Palpatine. Yep, yeah. They had a tug of war match, and
he was revealed as the true parent of Rey.
Exactly. Yeah. And Dominic showed up. Yeah, it was great. It was fun. Fucking great times.
That is awesome.
Oh, Jason doesn't appreciate this. Rise of the Clowns is what he said.
Anything on the board as far as what we talked about, these undercard matches?
I mean, is there anything really to talk about here? I didn't even realize, by the way, Samoa Joe was there until Seth had some exchanges on the outside with Drew. It felt weird also having all the ladders all around for these 5 matches, none of which were ladder matches and none of which were taking place in the same building as the ladder match.
Yes. Our real quick,
weird.
Funny.
Our missing board member here, Perfect 11, says, I think Drew demanding that Seth shake his hand is a nice old school move. It actually elevates both Drew and the title by having Drew's opponents acknowledge that he was better. I think that's a very romantic sentiment. I don't know if that's necessarily what they have planned here.
Evan wants to keep going back, and they said it'd be a wet dream for Vince. Do you think we're going to get a 3-man band? Jinder is the next opponent for Drew?
Could be.
I mean, only if it's going to be a quick, kind of a quick feud that Jinder loses.
If that's the case, then why are you bringing him back and repackaging? Jinder has to win right now, so no, I don't think
that's
Jinder's
not.
back.
I mean, there's precedent there. I mean, look at Sergeant Slaughter back in the day. They brought him back. They repackaged him. I mean, he did win the title in his run, so that's a bad example. I'm sorry for that.
It's a terrible.
It's a terrible. I'm gonna just scratch that, reverse it, and act like I never said it. I think it's okay. I think it's okay to build him short term as a new package and hype him up, make him look strong, just as an opponent for Drew, just to kind of mow over real quick, just more solidify himself as a defending champion and a long reigning champion at that.
Soji's shooting shade at Perfect 11 says, nah, nice try. Evan, I swear Street Profits versus Vikings was announced tonight for the titles.
No. Obviously not.
No.
Yeah,
no, they took Lucha's place. Remember?
I can tell you.
Why did they have a non-title match though? Because they had the match on Raw, right?
Who?
Wasn't that this week? Profits against Viking Raiders.
They had a non-title match on Raw, yeah.
All right. I guess it didn't lead anything. It was just a non-title match, and that's it.
I mean, I'm sure it's going to set up a title match, probably on Raw. I mean, anything more than that. And no, they didn't announce it. If they would have announced a title match on Money in the Bank, believe me, I would have been very much in the know on that. So, yeah, they're going to have a title match on Raw. I don't know where that's going to go.
Real quickly, I want to expand this since everybody's talking about Jinder. Daniel Price says Jinder wasn't in Money in the Bank. He can have a claim because he didn't lose anything. Here's my thing. Bray is the first guy in a long time that's won one title and actually got a second. From Miz only getting one run, Jinder only getting one run. I think AJ might have been the last. Finn only got one run. Miz. I mean, there's a lot of guys who never got another heavyweight championship, but Bray is possibly going to get his third here. And if you want to try to do something, I'm not an advocate of Jinder, but if you want to legitimately take him real as a contender, don't rush him to Drew. Establish him. He's been off TV for a while. He was a joke when he left TV. Get him back in the picture as a contender before you just throw him out there. And Jay is saying they're trying to build the Indian market. That fucking didn't work last time. So
well, Vince is senile.
Don't do that again.
You know, Vince is off his rocker, so he probably think. But I don't agree with you. I think you have a built-in storyline just with their past alone, where he might try to use that to leverage Drew and give him the title.
I'm not saying you don't do it. I'm saying you don't do it now. Jinder just came back on TV. He's been there 2 weeks.
I don't know who else you have. I mean, who else do you have that you could let Drew get over on convincingly?
The Fiend. No, I don't want that.
Yeah, no. Wrong show too. So
yeah, whatever.
I don't know. All right. So okay. Anything else on the board?
If he can be brutal and win as a heel without lackeys, he won't be as unbearable. Daniel Price says, I believe, referring to Jinder.
Yeah.
And I agree. If you build him up as somebody who doesn't, need his little cronies, them trying to make him the Indian version of J&J Security with the Singh brothers. It didn't work like it did with Seth. They didn't strike gold twice. The Singh brothers were literally terrible. And I don't think they knew where they were going with it when he started beating on them in the end. without an actual breakup, they were still there every week. Yeah, it just Perfect 11 saying Jinder needs a solid submission in order for him to be taken seriously. I like the Colossus.
Yeah, I don't
mind. Yeah, it's a good move.
I'm fine
Why
with
does
it.
he need a submission too?
No.
He's not really a mat submission wrestler.
All right.
I don't know.
Okay,
He's
so
on a hot streak. String some wins together for Jinder. Keep them the hell away from each other till the pay-per-view, and the story's there, Evan says.
all right.
Yeah, eventually. I'm just saying not yet.
Yeah. I think we've made it to our virtual roof here as far as stories go and as far as Money in the Bank goes. So we're going to go ahead and reach up, grab the briefcase, and give you our final thoughts on this edition. Reach up and grab it. On this edition, special edition of Marked Out Wrestling Podcast. You know, before we go into our final thoughts, I just want to remind you.
That's how I got to host my first show was via briefcase.
That's right. It's true. It's very true. Before we give the final thoughts and your final thoughts as well on our YouTube live chat board, I do want to go through some housekeeping notes here real quick. Please go to markedoutgear.com. We got some really cool new items on there. Our signature series. You can get our old classic logo shirts. We also
There's
have
a great mouse pad.
There's a great mouse pad now of Adam in the studio here. It is awesome. I want somebody to buy. Please buy the fucking mouse pad of Adam. Please.
I'll autograph it for
I think I might change it. You had a good idea to change it to the I'm not like most girls one. I think I might change it, or I could put up both. I don't know.
I think you should.
There's also going to be some more mouse pads coming up. One of Rob and one of myself.
I think you should do the A-Bomb series and just put a bunch of them on there. I mean, why not?
That's a good idea too.
It's not costing us no money.
Yeah, I'm not like most girls.
So
all right, I'll get that.
When you go there and you get that Adam mouse pad, or you buy the new MOWP fanny pack in the style of the classic WCW logo,
or socks. We got it all.
You can.
And the website. Actually, the website is revamped too. I don't know if you.
I haven't noticed. I'll check that out. But if you go there, markedoutgear.com, and you put in that promo code markedout, all one word, you're going to save 10% off your order. Brian, is the Star Wars shirt down, or can you still get that?
No, you know what? Because it sold so well, we're going to keep it up there. I want to make sure that you guys have plenty of time to fucking get it.
All right. Check the tape. Check the tape you must and get the Star Wars edition
of
MOWP.
Check the tape shirt coming?
No, that's the next one coming.
That's the next one coming.
I promise you, Jason.
Also, you can go to.
I don't know if I believe.
Also, you can go to collarandelbowbrand.com. That's Al Snow's company, and grab some cool gear from there: t-shirts, sweatpants, like Brian loves to wear to all his formal events.
Get those MOWP sweatpants first, Rob.
There you go. You put in the promo code marked out, all one word there, and again, you're saving 10% off your order. And I would be remiss if I did not mention the fact that you can go to belowthecollar.com. Belowthecollar.com, brought to you by Pro Wrestling Tees, and look for Marked Out Wrestling Podcast, and you can get some cool shirts on there as well. That's belowthecollar.com. Also, just to wrap up these housekeeping notes. If you're watching us live on YouTube right now or any of the other live streaming platforms, Twitch or Mixer, Periscope, or Facebook, please make sure you like, follow, subscribe. If you're on iTunes, please make sure you rate and review us on those programs as well. If you're watching on Podbean, listening on Podbean, or any of our other subscribers as far as the podcast goes, please make sure you follow there as well. All right, so thank you for that. Don't forget.
I like DP's final thought. He says, Brian, he wears sweats and he loves the Jets.
He does. That's a very.
I do.
I love that.
Unfortunately.
I love that little rhyme. You can do that all the time. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Marked Out Wrestling, Twitter, @SmartMarkShow, Marked Out, the number 1 on Facebook. So final thoughts for me was going into Money in the Bank, guys. I was cautiously optimistic, and that was based off of what we saw from the video matches from Mania. Those were great. I loved every minute of those, and I was excited and thinking I was going to get something here that was going to be entertaining, regardless of what wrestling quality it gave me. It was going to be entertaining, and I will say 98% of it was, and that is enough for a passing grade for me. I give this pay-per-view, just for the Money in the Bank, I give it an A+. If you add in the lower card, it drops it to about a C. But I'm gonna go a B because it was that Money in the Bank was that much fun for me. I really enjoyed the Money in the Bank. I kind of hope that as we go through this COVID thing, and I'll get off my monologue in a minute. As we go through this COVID thing, and we see the ways that maybe society is going to adapt and change, moving past it. The little things, are more people going to remotely work from home on the regular after this is over? Is healthcare going to change? All these different big news item factors, how they're going to change. Well, narrow that down to professional wrestling, and we've seen new experiments done for these matches during the COVID era that have worked. And both on AEW and WWE, they've worked. And I don't think you walk away from that when all this is over and we can get back to life as some sort of normal. I think you continue this trend. And Adam, I'd like for you in your final thought to give what you're talking about as far as an additional show. I'd like for you to bring that up. I don't want to take that from you.
That's where I was going to go with that.
Okay.
Brian, if you'll get the board's final thoughts ready, I'll go here and then we'll circle back to yours and theirs.
Wait,
sorry.
No, I was just going to wrap.
You went to me, and then now you want to come back.
I didn't really go to you. I was still in mid-sentence. You know what? I'm done. Go ahead.
All right. Sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I thought you were throwing
It's all good. I'm not mad.
Anyway, what we have here is I think that they should have a just an event where it's just the Money in the Bank match, Brian, or just the War Games match. Now, Rob said they'll never do that because they'll lose revenue or whatever, but I think that you have it in addition. Number one, first off, no revenue is going to be lost when they're not charging anything at the network, and it ends at 9:25. I don't think that really matters if they go to 11 or not when it's part of your subscription package. If anything, you get more bang for your buck by going shorter. So that makes more sense. The other thing is, why not just add an extra show? When you have a 5-6 weeks in between a pay-per-view, just throw in an extra show. They did it in Memphis. You can have the rest of that Memphis-Nashville show or whatever the hell it was, where most of it is dark, and you want to show just a few matches on there, but make a show where you have just this. Make us tune in, because when you have a bunch of title matches with no hook or crook endings, no feuds outside of Bray and Braun that are going to continue, no title changes, what's the point? They should have built those and have them be standalones. And also, if you take Money in the Bank off of this, you got a 2-hour pay-per-view. And since the revenue, I don't think matters without putting butts in the seats to buy concessions, they don't have to keep them there that long.
Yeah.
There's no concession sales to be had. There's no merch sales that are going to be generated extra. Nobody's going to decide, I want to go buy this shirt after I won somebody. None of that's going to happen. There are not going to be true bathroom breaks. Anyway, that's my final thought. I think these should be just like Brian, and I'll segue to you this way. AEW originally was going to do Blood and Guts as a super dynamite, if you will. I think that's what they should start doing for stuff like this, and make it be like this would have been a super Raw. This would have been the only thing on it.
They kind of were doing that with like the what was the pay-per-views that they were doing that were just more like glorified house shows. Like they did Starrcade.
In your house?
No, they had like Starrcade this year.
Starrcade. That's what I was talking about with the Memphis one, or the Nashville one. It was like Music City Showdown or something.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I guess I could see them doing that, but I mean, for what Rob said too, I mean, things could change. Like what they're doing now, I don't know. Maybe they do find something that does work, and maybe they'll just use that. I don't know. I mean, things are really weird right now. I'm going to read the board before, because I don't really have a final thought. I didn't watch the show. I'm going to watch the show after we get off the air.
Tell us about your dreams?
My dreams? What are my dreams?
No, let him go. Just let him go. Let him go. Go.
Go.
Final thoughts for Shoji. I think Vince and Creative knew all along fans weren't going to take the empty arena match seriously, so they made it ridiculously entertaining in this stressful time.
Yeah.
Perhaps. Perfect 11 final thoughts. I can break down and critique the Money in the Bank match, but the truth is I laughed my ass off and was entertained throughout.
Thank you.
We give
Absolutely.
WWE...
Otis is very fucking entertaining.
We gave WWE a lot of crap for being lazy, but this was anything but. Yeah, that's a very good point.
Good point.
Final thought for Evan was final thoughts and very hot take. Street Fight on Wednesday was better than Money in the Bank match. Ooh.
I do agree with him. He said Carmella and Sasha both looked amazing.
I don't like that comment, and I don't. It's not because I think it's wrong necessarily. I do, but it's not for that reason. It's because it's apples and fucking oranges. It really is apples and oranges. Yeah, you both had comedy spots,
especially with the women being thrown into the men. I mean, like
this was
there
something
were no women in the street fight. There couldn't be. Like that's why Rob's right on the apples and oranges. One has 12 people, 2 genders, 2 briefcases.
And, and just like there's some things that we don't need to fight politically over. Some things should be kind of. we don't have to pick a side on this. We don't have to do the AEW to WWE comparison. We can just say WWE hit a home run for us on this one. We appreciate it and enjoy what we got as wrestling fans and move on from it. I don't think the comparison is fair or needed. Not to sound like a dick, but I just don't think it's needed.
I'm with you.
Now, Rob, your point there. If there was a rundown in a golf cart sequence tonight, okay, yeah, we can compare the two.
Right.
But unless they're doing the exact same spots or the exact same bookings, they should be held separate. And again, everybody said it tonight, Brian. You should go back and watch it. This was entertaining tonight. It saved the show. The other 5 matches, which only one was even really real in Drew and Seth, the rest were what they were. I think this is fine.
Oh, apparently,
and Evan says he just wanted to get a rise out of you.
Well, it looks like
there was no angry elf count. That would have been your first right here at the end.
I'm not angry. Look, even if I disagree with you on your opinion on Money in the Bank, which I think everybody for the most part is in agreement on this and on the success of tonight with that match anyway. I really enjoyed being a wrestling fan tonight, and maybe that's because it was something new. Back in the late 90s, mid 90s, when wrestling was getting stale across the board, WCW and WWE, Attitude Era came in and the NWO era came in, and love them or hate them, they changed what wrestling was. And it was entertaining because it was fresh and it was new. And this is inadvertent. We wouldn't have had this without the COVID-19 epidemic. But this is fresh and this is new, and I'm happy to be a wrestling fan right now, so I have no reason to have angry elf out tonight.
Well, also, Rob, to your point, we've seen so many Money in the Bank matches. Like, same with Chamber. I like that they've changed the Chamber. We've only seen the new one a handful of times. Here was something different. If you're not going to have the crowd pop of who brings down that case and that ending moment of the way everything breaks down, then you might as well do something different to stand out.
Sure.
Because I got to be honest, with a normal freaking Money in the Bank match and no crowd, this would have, no matter how good it could have been, would probably have been the worst one. Just because you don't have that pop. Instead, now it's in a unique category all by itself. Remember that year and they raced through the fucking building? I don't know. I liked it.
No, I thought it was great. All right, so we're going to end the conversation.
Yeah, I want to end the show.
For my host notes, hey guys, once the show goes off and we go through the outro, hang on the line for me. I have a quick thing I want to pitch to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pitching time. So, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight for our special edition of Marked Out Wrestling Podcast. Don't forget to join us tomorrow night following Monday Night Raw as we do our Raw reaction show and we talk about what's hot in wrestling. And then don't forget Wednesday
Ryan
night.
may even hang out with us.
Right, he might. And don't forget about
I'll be there.
Wednesday night as we discuss AEW pushing towards their pay-per-view and NXT, whatever they got planned post Adam Cole and Velveteen Dream. I don't know. I'm curious to find out as well.
I got a puppet too, Brian.
Don't forget to follow us on all the platforms and social media and all this, that, and the other. But regardless of everything we've said tonight, make sure you're always marking out like no one's watching. But number one, please wear a mask and wash your fucking hands.
I'll catch you on the flip side.
Marked Out Podcast is produced and edited by U-Record Studios and is recorded live from Charlotte, North Carolina. Subscribe, follow, and listen to us live following WWE programming on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live. Download the podcast by following us at podbean.com or subscribe on iTunes and Apple Podcasts. While you're there, go ahead and give us an honest and fair review and rating. Finally, if you have enjoyed our product and would like to see us grow, please donate to us by visiting the donation link below our live video, or you can donate via Venmo and Cash App at the handle Ravepro. That's Ravepro.
You're listening to the Electronic Media Collective Podcast Network. Yeah, it's a mouthful. For more great shows, visit electronicmediacollective.com.